I got this for free. More and more people are getting into building gaming PCs, and it's not cheap. So recently, with things like cryptocurrency mining, the Christmas rush, and also limited stock on new parts, prices have not gone down at all. One of the reasons I started this YouTube channel was because after getting into building PCs, I realized that you didn't have to spend loads of money to be able to build a usable PC. And I wanted to share this with others. So for today's video, I want to go over 5 tips that I've used to personally save money and find deals on PC parts. Okay, so for tip 1, this tip, I think it's one of the most important ones for both when you're buying new and used parts, but this tip is to do your research. And what do I mean by that? That means understanding what games you want to play, understanding what components you'll need to be able to play those games in the resolution or frame rate that you want to play those games. Understand what other things you want to do with your computer and what kind of components you'll need for that. Once you understand what you need for your computer, the second thing is to go and look at the market for those parts. So that means looking at the used market for those parts, but also looking at the new market, understanding the value of those parts. If you know generally what price those components and parts are going for, when you see a good deal, you'll know that it's a good deal. You'll know like, oh, I haven't seen a price like this in a while. This is probably a good deal on whatever component it is that you're looking at. It is also good to look towards the future. Say that there's new graphics cards coming out or something like that. Maybe the going price for a certain card it seems like a good deal, but you then realize, oh, they're releasing new parts in a couple of months. Prices may move around depending on those types of situations. So just be aware of that kind of thing, and yeah, make sure to do your research. That's tip number 1. The second tip that I have for getting deals on PC parts and saving money is to buy used. So this is one of the best ways that you can get really good price to performance. So a lot of older hardware, maybe somebody's upgrading from a little bit older last generation's hardware to the current newest highest end hardware. A lot of those times the older hardware that they had was still usable, it's still in working condition, and maybe for your purpose that's perfect. Maybe you don't need the highest and latest and greatest technology to be able to do the things that you want to do. If you're only playing certain games that don't need crazy specs, this can be a really good option, and typically, in my experience, this has saved me a decent amount of money. I've been able to also buy used parts, build computers, and turn around and flip them and make a little bit of extra money. So buying used parts is super awesome in my opinion. There is a little bit of a risk involved, just because some of the time maybe there's not a warranty, or the warranty doesn't get passed on to you. There is a risk of people being dishonest and trying to rip you off. So be aware of that, kind of look for the signs. If something seems sketchy, it probably is sketchy. So just keep that in mind. But in my experience, I've had pretty good results. Even with people where a PC part wasn't maybe working completely, a lot of the time people have been honest and upfront with me, or they've been able to take the product back and give me my money back. So I haven't really been ripped off a ton. I'm sure that day will come, but I feel like personally I just haven't had a lot of that happen to me. So I really love that tip and think that buying used parts is awesome. So I'd recommend it to anybody. Okay, tip number 3, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe. Just kidding. Do that, but the real tip number 3 is to consistently and constantly check for deals. So this, a lot of the time, speaking about like the used market specifically, if you're checking places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, just your local classifieds, if you're checking those constantly and consistently, and what I mean by that is probably like 4 times a day, when you have a little break, just pull out your phone, check Facebook real quick, see if there's anything that's suggested for you. maybe type in a few search terms for things that you're looking for specifically, like GPU or GTX 1050 Ti. And by doing this is one of the most important things, I think, for me personally, to be able to get those deals. Because chances are, if you see them first and you're able to message the person first, your chance of getting the actual product is a whole lot higher than if you see it the next day, especially if it's a really good price. If it's kind of an okay price, maybe you'll see it on there a few days and you'll maybe be able to pick it up. But if you want like the steal of a deal type of deals, then you're going to have to be one of the first people to both respond to their posting, but also one of the first people to be willing to meet with them. So check consistently, and then be prompt about being able to go ahead and pick that stuff up. So sometimes this can be a bit of a challenge with work or with school or whatnot. But if you have some free time, maybe in the evening, and you've just checked, maybe you're feeling a little lazy and you don't want to go get it until you've eaten or something like that, but be snappy about it, be quick about it. If you go pick the things up as soon as you can, you'll be able to snag those deals. Okay, so that's tip number 3. Consistently look for deals throughout the day, and then when you see something, be prompt about picking it up first. Okay, so getting into tip number 4. Tip number 4 is to remember to barter or make an offer. So just remember, this isn't a store. If you're buying used parts or buying things off of places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, people are expecting you to make an offer on what they have. So a lot of the time, maybe something isn't that good of a deal, but if it was $20 cheaper, it would be a way good deal. I'll look for things like that and make offers on those things. If they're willing to accept them, if they're just trying to get rid of the product or the part and they don't really care like about the $20 all that much, they more care about just getting it off their hands. A lot of the time you can get a really good deal by doing that, by making an offer. Obviously, some of the time, if something is like such a good deal that like a lot of people are contacting them about it, they may not be really willing to budge on the price. But if it's something that you've seen listed for maybe a couple days and you're kind of curious, this didn't seem like a good deal to begin with, but it doesn't look like it's selling, shoot them an offer. The worst thing they can do is say no. So that's tip number 4. Okay, for the last tip, tip number 5, this one's one of my favorite ones, and I didn't really start doing this until recently, but I noticed something kind of cool. When you see something that is a good price, and you're like on your way to pick it up, or you're in communications with the person, and they've pretty much said like, yeah, you can have it. What I love to do is ask them if they have anything else for sale. So I've done this a few times, and I've actually gotten some pretty good deals from doing this. For example, I got this for free. So this is a Ryzen 7 2700X. So it's an 8-core 16-thread processor. And what happened was, I had just talked to somebody about a B450 motherboard that they had posted on Facebook Marketplace. They posted it for $45, which at the time was a really good deal. And I thought, if they're posting this, maybe they'll have something else. So I asked them, is there anything else that you have that you might want to sell? And they were like, no, not really, but I do have this processor that is broken. It has some bent pins. So I'll just throw it in for free. And I was like, yeah, sure, that would be perfect. I'd love to mess around with it, see if I can get it working. And they're like, yeah, I already upgraded, so I don't need it anymore. So they gave it to me for free, and I was able to go home, tinker with it for about 30 minutes, carefully bend some pins back and plug it into my motherboard, and it worked just fine. So it powered on, everything booted up, and yeah, I got a free 8-core processor by just doing this one thing, by just asking when I saw somebody that was selling something for a good deal, do you have anything else for sale? Now this has happened to me a few other times where obviously I haven't gotten tons of free processors or anything like that, but I've been able to get some other really good deals just because somebody was looking to get rid of something and I was already going to be there, and I was ready for the parts. I had a little bit of extra money that I could spare. And so that's one of my favorite tips, is to make sure to ask if they're selling anything else, especially if the deal that you're picking up is a really good deal. So those are my 5 tips for saving money on PC parts and finding a deal. If you have any other suggestions for ways that you save money, or any other suggestions for me for how I can find more deals on PC parts, make sure to let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know. I'd love to have some discussions about it, because it's one of my favorite things. It's one of the things that gets me most excited is getting the deals, getting stuff for free or just really cheap. So yeah, make sure to comment down below if there's anything you have to add. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, like I said. And thanks so much for watching. I hope it was useful, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.